Take a breath.
Okay. All seriousness aside, as usual.
Yeah.
Season 5
Yeah.
of 50 and Coping.
Yeah.
The reason there's a blooper of Coffee and Coping, of course, is Coffee and Coping is our charity that stems from this podcast.
Yep.
Everyone keeps asking me, why did you do the charity? Where did that come from? You're a gangster. You're an ex-drug dealer. And you're an ex... and I say, no, I'm not an ex-addict. That's what I've learned. So basically, because of talking to people over the last 4 seasons, we realised that there was a severe lack of community.
Yep.
So instead of just acknowledging there's a problem, which the world does, we've basically front-faced it.
Yep.
So we run drop-ins, we run meetings to do with addiction, and also the Men's Communication Connective, which is in St Albans at the Pioneer Club, and from next Thursday will be in Hertford 2 in 4 Street, in the Alliance building, which is 4 Street, Hertford.
Cool.
While I remember, I am walking from Bath to Wells in Somerset, where I grew up, which is 20 miles.
Nice.
I'm doing that on Easter Sunday. We'll be filming some of it on our phones because we're going to document some of it, but it's going to be difficult, so I'll do my best. But what we're doing that for is to raise money so we can carry on doing the work we do. So in the doobly-doo, below us here, will be the link to the Just Giving page. That will close 2 days after I've done the walk. So if you're going to sponsor us, please do it now.
Yep.
Just Giving.
Do it.
Page, doobly-doo. Listen, £1, £5, £100, £1 million. Whatever you can spare is amazing. So thank you. Ultra-processed foods.
Ultra-processed foods.
I want to... Right, this is going to be a 3-parter, okay? Right, so we're going to talk to us about this.
Yep.
Because there's no one else here. Then we're going to talk to a specialist about it. And then we're going to talk to someone with opinions about it. Okay? Now, I'll tell you who and all that at a later date.
Yep.
But right now, to start season 5, I want to look at ultra-processed foods.
Yep.
It's a bit of a buzzword at the moment because people are starting to understand that a lot of their food is manipulated before it gets to the plates.
Yep.
And things that you think are healthy and things that you think don't have preservatives, additives, chemicals in actually do and can be harmful. What do you understand that ultra-processed foods are?
Foods that are created on an industrial scale using industrial processes that you can't make in your own kitchen.
Did you read that in a book?
No.
Okay, that sounded very good. That sounds like you prepared.
Well, I kind of know a bit about it.
Right.
Well, I have opinions about it.
Opinions. That's what I'm looking for today. This is not, I know this, do you know that?
Yeah.
This is opinions.
Yeah.
Right, so what I'm looking for today is just an overall guideline of what we think about this situation. So if you live in the countryside, right, and let's roll it back 20 years, 25 years. If you lived in the countryside 25 years ago, you would probably buy your meat from a butcher, and you would buy your vegetables from the farm shop or the farmer.
Or the market or whatever.
Or the market, rather than all of it coming from the supermarket. Go into a town, the towns are already, since the war really, when supermarkets took over, had basically gone into these enormous caves that were full of shelves of all the wrong foods for the right price. So what I'm thinking nowadays is back then, because when I grew up in Somerset, I mean, literally Dick Ash, who was the farmer, because we lived on a farm half the year, he would literally shout to my mother, do you want a chicken, Ness? Vanessa, my mother, for Sunday lunch, right? And she'd go, oh, that's a good idea. Walk across, still walking, grab a chicken, snap its neck, pass it through the window. My mother would then
feather it.
You know, deal with it, cut its head off, deal with the whole thing, no squeamishness, this is food. Now, talking to people today, I swear there would be people who were traumatised by living through that. Because they're seeing an animal killed for their own good. Now, people still who eat meat really don't seem to understand where that meat comes from.
Well, they don't want to think about it. Yeah.
And, you know, I've had both clients in groups and also just talking to my friends. Oh, yeah, I know where it comes from, but I don't think about the death involved. Right? And I'm like, okay, well, that might be our problem. Because the food, the chicken breasts we get from the supermarket are so far removed from a chicken that you don't think about it. You just see it as like there's a tray of something called chicken.
Yeah.
That was an animal once. Sorry to break it to you.
Yeah.
So do you think that the lack of knowledge about killing things has made it a lot easier for the big groups and the big corporations who make this food? Do you think it's made it easier and more palatable to make them cheaper, longer lasting, you know, better for you using chemicals? Do you think that's the reasoning for it?
I think the reasoning for it is money. They will make more money with putting less expensive ingredients in food. So most ultra-processed food is very low in protein because protein's expensive.
Right.
And protein is possibly the most beneficial of your macros.
Do you think that if we have a situation where you go into the supermarket and they're selling whatever in a packet and it's cheap, and then when you cook it, it tastes nice, we would swallow more or less anything?
Yeah, because I think the focus these days is on the pleasure of eating something rather than the nutritional value of it in lots of people's eyes.
Mouth pleasure, as I like to say, because obviously it has the wrong connotations. But when you eat something, it has to have the right texture, the right flavour, and you know you have to enjoy what you're eating, or you'll never eat it again.
And there's a huge amount of science and research that the food companies put into all of that.
You said something interesting before we came on air. You said that all of the scientists moves from the tobacco industry, when that started going wrong, and we know all about that, to the food industry.
Yeah.
What were they? What's their purpose then? What were they there for? Why? What were they doing?
To make food irresistible, addictive, cheap, profitable.
So on purpose, we have got. So, oh, okay. I just had a dawning moment. So really, it's not about feeding the populace cheaper and making more money. It's keeping that sustainable while doing that.
Yeah.
So, but
keep them coming back.
Yeah.
Same as they did with tobacco, right? Keep them coming back for more. They're perpetual customers then, aren't they?
In my lifetime, I have had a doctor say to me when I was young about asthma, just have a cigarette. In my lifetime, right? And I know that my nan used to smoke a cigarette a day because she had lung problems, right? They wouldn't say that now, would they?
I think it's unlikely they'd say that now.
Yeah. And that was so I first had asthma in the 80s. And I was told it, they said this is not a good thing. Don't start smoking, you know, blah. But I was smoking already and he knew it.
Yeah.
And he said, look, one of those cigarettes will sort out your problems every day. Which, to me now, saying that is fucking horrendous.
It's phenomenal, yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal, considering the shit I've had with my lungs. So, okay, so when I go into the supermarket, and I go through the vegetable aisle, because vegetables are always there first, so instead of it being toilet roll, so everyone knows that this isn't a poo shop, this is a fresh vegetable, the you will do well shop here, to coin Eddie Izzard. What's the first, you know, where am I going to find ultra-processed foods?
Pretty much any other aisle where the food is in some form of packaging.
Okay.
A box, a bag, normally colourful, normally eye candy.
Yeah. So if we go to the butcher's counter, right, and we buy meat, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. If we've got a packaged meat that isn't done by the butcher, so it's bought in, that's likely to have some kind of preservatives.
Yeah, it will have preservatives in it, but it's still not classed as ultra-processed food. Ultra-processed food is more things like your, what they used to call TV dinners, microwave meals, your breaded fish, breaded chicken, all those sorts of things. You buy a cottage pie or a lasagna or whatever. It's all of that stuff. Stuff that's got a long shelf life, doesn't rot.
Yeah. So if you, there's one glaring thing about ultra-processed food that I want to talk about. Firstly, you put butter and you put margarine outside.
Yep.
There will be no bugs on the margarine.
Correct.
They'll all be on the butter.
Yeah.
Because margarine is one carbon away from plastic.
Yeah.
If you look at its makeup. So there is nothing about nutrients in that.
There's nothing nutritional about it at all.
Yet it can taste quite good, and it makes other things that you put on it. Because let's face it, if you put margarine on toast, you're probably going to put Marmite, marmalade, jam, or something else on it as well.
Yeah.
So therefore, you've got horribly modified food. Then going on to a sugar-infused, this is healthy jam, which is more sugar than anything.
It's got fruit in it.
Yeah, it's got fruit, so it's healthy. I don't know if you've ever watched a programme like, what's that, Hugh Fernley-Whitting stall?
Oh, yeah.
Right, where they make
River
jam.
Cottage. Yeah.
River Cottage, right? I used to love that. I don't know why. I think he's a twat. But watching sugar being poured into fruit to make it jam is horrifying.
The amount they use, it's this equal amount, I think, isn't it? Same amount of weight.
I think it's more sugar than it is that. But yeah, and these are like country people that have been making this for years. I've gone all Somerset because that's where I do come from, innit?
Yeah.
But so understanding the relationship between taste and food and what you actually need to survive food, they're very different things.
Yeah, completely.
And I'm lucky in as much as I've never bought into the fast food thing. So like McDonald's, we all know how I feel about McDonald's.
We do. Yeah.
Right, so let's cut to the chase. The only food I eat from a place of that ilk is a chicken shish kebab.
Yeah, same here.
Right? But still, that chicken, we don't know where that chicken comes from. It's definitely mass produced. It's definitely not organic, free range, hippie chickens.
Unlikely, yeah.
Right. But it's not likely to be processed.
It's still better than a processed chicken McNugget.
Right, absolutely. So
chicken nugget.
Other chicken varieties.
Nugget producers are available.
I don't give a shit. McDonald's can fuck off, right?
But yeah, chicken nuggets. So you buy a bag of frozen chicken nuggets from a supermarket from Iceland.
Yeah.
They aren't going to have much in the way of nutritional value, and they are going to be minced up bits of chicken and beak and foot and all sorts.
I think the phrase that we used to use was lips and arseholes.
Yeah.
And that's from my dad's era, right?
Yeah.
So what horrifies me, though, is, and look, I understand poverty, right? I come from poverty. I have been very poor, as you know, right? But it's not cheaper to buy like these nuggets and all of that in the long run.
No.
What if you bought like a free-range chicken, you could make your own nuggets without the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right, and do all that, and you can feed your family and do all that. But people perceive it as cheaper, but it isn't. It's just easier.
It's more convenient. Yeah.
So you can throw your nuggets and your chips in for your kids after school when you're feeding them, because you're leading a busy life, right? Nobody on this show is judging anyone for doing that, by the way, right? But what we'd kind of like you to see is the fact that if you were able to have an extra 5 minutes, you might be able to cut up an actual chicken breast, that isn't processed, that's just a part of a chicken, run it through an egg, or whatever, and fry it up, and, then you've got the same thing, but actually with nutrition in protein, all of the right things. Yeah. What horrifies me is that it's being promoted as healthy. Yeah. This stuff that is full of processed, ultra-processed chemicals, preservatives. Also, things that mean that it doesn't degrade. Yeah. Food should degrade. It's a natural thing. And if it doesn't, then what the hell is holding that on? That's got to be a whole hell of a load of chemicals. Yeah. So what's a preservative? What's a chemical preservative? Do you know? I don't.
Nitrates, sodium nitrate.
Because we looked at your ham, right, and it had sodium nitrate in it. But I mean, that was nice ham. It wasn't like teddy bear processed, whoa, Jesus ham, right? But understand, right, so ultra-processed foods as well are not just your everyday thing. They're the chocolate bars you eat, the crisps, the sugary drinks. Yep. Right, so I have a story about sugary drinks. Yep. I am very well known for drinking massive amounts of Diet Coke. Yep. Be that cherry Pepsi, be that Pepsi Max. Never with sugar in, because I don't like it. Right? But what was happening was it started off like everything. When I come out of addiction, I went to food. Yep. Then I needed to lose that weight because it was really unhealthy. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll drink a diet drink. Okay, diet drinks have aspartame in them.
They
right?
do, yeah.
And other sugar,
Artificial sweeteners.
them, right? So those artificial sweeteners trick your brain into thinking you're having sugar,
Absolutely.
but it never arrives.
Yeah.
So then what your brain does is craves
More
food.
sugar.
Yeah, or sugar or whatever. So I was drinking all of this Diet Coke, literally 6 litres a day,
Yep.
right? At least. And everyone knows this to be true. So about, what was it? About 12 weeks ago, I gave up alcohol. No, 13 weeks ago, I gave up alcohol. And that means now I'm totally in recovery. All right, I've been away from drugs for 16 years, right? But now I've stopped drinking, I'm totally in recovery. So I can look at all of my angles. And I think I have to do that to help me with my nutrition and food. The stupid thing is in the middle of last year, you'll notice I looked an awful lot thinner, mostly because I was 2 stone lighter than I am now.
Yep.
Because I was eating right and I was doing the right thing. But because my brain likes to fuck me up, right? You revert back to addict. You go, it'll be all right, I can handle that, I'll have this, I'll have that. Before I know it, I'm banging biscuits. It's always fucking biscuits.
Yeah.
I do love a packet of crisps, right? But there is a line I can draw with crisps.
Okay.
Mostly when I reach my salt intake.
Yeah.
Where I'm talking like that through the phone because I'm dried out husk. So when I stopped with the Diet Coke, I then realised that I wasn't hungry at all.
Yeah.
So I would eat for lunch. I've got a thing for wholemeal rolls, right?
Okay.
And I know bread is not great, right? But when you have to, this is the problem. You have to get what you can get at the time.
Yeah.
Because yes, I could plan. Yes, I could pre-cook and do all that, but I don't.
No.
Because I have 1 day a week with my family.
Yep.
1 day a week where I go out with them, do what I've got to do. And also the work does encroach on that sometimes as well. So I'm not making excuses. That's the reality of it. So easy life is to buy cheese.
Yep.
Yeah. Buy ham or something and then put that in a roll with some Branston pickle. I love Branston pickle. But only a little bit, yeah, because it's really bad for you. And it's got sugar in it.
It's got lots of sugar in it.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it has. But that's better than me drinking all the Diet Coke, pretending that that's making me thin, because let's face it, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then having these massive urges for huge amounts of food. So I'd go to the cafe and eat, and then come back here, drink a 2-litre bottle of Diet Coke, and go, oh my God, I'm starving. Well, you like the cafe. There ain't no shortage of food in there, is there?
Absolutely not, no.
Right, so when you look at things like ultra-processed everything, look at sweets, crisps, all of that, everything that isn't real. Pringles has never seen a potato.
No.
Right? So you've got, they call it crisp, so we just presume it's a potato. It's just not.
No.
Everything about that is ultra-processed. And
Reconstituted maize or whatever.
yeah.
And the thing is, it's the oils in there as well, right?
Yeah.
So seed oils, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, canola oil.
Yep.
They come up as one ingredient on those things,
Under the name.
but they
Oil.
themselves are ultra processed. They're known as refined, bleached, and deodorized because of the amount of processes they go through. Because they're basically toxins when they start,
Yep.
and they're made into innate oil that actually is really dangerous for you.
Don't you find that odd? So just the cooking oil that we use to lubricate the pan,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's one off. You know, they're all of them start off as a toxin,
Yeah.
have to be synthesized
Yeah.
to be palatable, but are still really bad for us.
Yeah,
But
but
then,
they're basically created by the same refining process as crude oil. It's the same. It's an
It's the same
industrial.
process.
It's an industrial process.
right, that's scary.
Whereas olive oil is just basically pressed out of the olives, and therefore olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, is the only oil to cook with, really.
Yep.
Maybe coconut.
What
oil.
about normal olive oil?
I don't know. Not qualified to say, but extra virgin olive oil is what I use at home.
Now, you see, processing, advertising-wise,
Yep.
extra virgin olive oil is for salad dressings and refined stuff,
Yeah.
right? Olive oil is for the cooking, right? Now, you know as well as I do, the olive oil salesmen
Yep.
love that.
Mm.
Because that means if you're doing extra virgin olive oil, it's delicate, it's beautiful. Jamie Oliver uses refined olive oil, like nice, expensive olive oil, and I'm sure that is just foot pressed olives out of a tank. But the rest of us in the real world have realised. Do you know how expensive olive oil is? Well, obviously you do.
Yeah.
Right? Compared to sunflower oil.
Yeah. But I bet the people that sell the sunflower oil are making more money out of it than the people selling the olive oil.
Absolutely. That was my point. So, yeah, it's expensive. Don't blame the producer. It costs a lot of money to make it like that. Yeah. It's not cheap, it's not quick, it's not easy. Often, that's a rule in life, is it not? Like, yeah. For food.
Yeah, and is it expensive, really? I mean, I bought a big bottle of extra virgin olive oil the other day. It was about £7 or something. Last, I don't know, 2 months. Is it actually expensive? Or is it just expensive compared to the really, really cheap stuff that is really, really cheap because it's a byproduct of something else?
Yeah, no, I get that. But if you're looking... Right, so...
What I'm saying is it's comparatively expensive.
Yeah, but in the real world, it's not due to the work that's gone into it and not the chemicals and the process. That's really cheap and easy.
And the health benefits it will give you versus the health detriment the other one will.
What do we say to people who are living on the edge in poverty and all that, though, about that? So
we'll try and reduce all of the bad stuff. Just try and reduce it to some degree and it will have a health benefit.
Oh, absolutely. But okay, so you go into the supermarket, okay, and I mean, this is how I look at it, right? You're providing for your family, okay? Yep. So we go in, we're pretty good at not buying ultra-processed stuff, apart from baked beans and sausages in a can, right?
Yeah, which is possibly not quite as bad as you think, I guess.
Is it not? Okay, that's great.
Well...
Because that's my downfall for ultra-processed. I love that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, those sausages in there, they bear no resemblance to meat, do they? Let's face it.
No, they don't.
They are inside intestinal scrapings, I'd imagine. Right, but they taste great, so I'll have that. But when we look, so since we came back from Naples, 2 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
Right, Sid came back, my wife, and she said, I'd really like to cut down on the processed foods that we eat.
Cool.
And I'm like, brilliant, because Nikki's always banging on at me about that, and you and everyone quite rightly.
Yeah.
But can we afford to do that? And she said, of course we can. And then, so now what we do is we buy ingredients and don't rely on... So you make a bolognese. Do you know how bloody easy it is to make the tomatoes and the tomato sauce for bolognese?
Yeah.
Right? You do not need dolmeo, which is full of salt and sugar, and they're the least offensive things in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What you need is actual plum tomatoes.
Yeah.
Right? Bit of garlic, bit of chili, because I like it hot.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Bit of salt, sea salt. Yeah, and some pepper.
Yep.
A few spices.
Yeah.
You know, French Provence spices if you haven't got fridge.
Beautiful.
Right, you make that with just mince.
Yep.
Yeah, that you come out. Now, what about fat levels in mince? So you've got a 5% mince, you've got a 12% mince, or you've got a 30% fat mince, right?
Yeah.
I imagine there is something wrong with the 5% mince, is there not? Do you reckon that's more processed to take out the fat?
Yeah, possibly.
Is that chemical process or is that squeeze the fat out process?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that either. Now, also, is animal fats bad for us or not? Because...
Generally, no.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right. Because we were on the carnivore, whatever the fuck that's called, carnivore diet, where we were eating meats, were we not, and cheese. And that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you were more keto than carnivore.
Keto,
but
not carnivore. Right, so in that, it wasn't fucking, don't eat that, that's fat. It was, eat that.
Yeah.
And also, you mentioned vegetables to Nikki, right?
Yeah.
She rolls her eyes and goes, what's the point of that?
Yeah, that varies, even in Nikki's eyes.
I like a vegetable.
Yeah.
Because they bulk up everything as well, and they don't have any calorific value.
No, depending what vegetables they are. Starchy veg is generally bad. So potatoes, carrots.
Yeah, I'm talking about your broccolis.
Green leafy veg, broccoli, green leafy veg,
Cavallonero.
Cavallonero, Savoy cabbage, all that stuff. That's all good.
Also,
it's all good.
I love a cabbage.
Yeah.
I genuinely do. A red cabbage or a green cabbage. So, when you go to the supermarket, the cheapest vegetable is a cabbage.
Yeah.
Right? Versatile, fills you up. Different ways. Your kids will hate it, so disguise it as something else.
Yep.
Right? How we got Samuel who's been pretty good about eating things, to eat vegetables was to incorporate them into his favourite thing, which was bolognese.
Yeah.
So you just put them in there.
Mushrooms, courgettes,
Yeah.
bosh. Yeah.
He hates mushrooms, right?
Okay, courgettes then.
So, yeah, but do you know how to bypass that?
Cut them so small.
Cut them up smaller.
Yeah.
Kale, right?
Yep.
Sid would come in and wink at me conspiratorially and go, there's kale in it. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And I didn't think about it, but then it's all cut up. Now, look, these nutritional points are important for long-term health.
Yep.
Now, I have type 2 diabetes because I'm a fat prick, right? If you
Slightly
look...
harsh.
Yeah, I know, but if look at it this way. I know exactly how to cure that.
Yeah.
And I have to take metformin every day. I have to take fucking all these pills. But I don't if I just sorted my shit out. So why don't I?
I don't know. It's a good question.
And I genuinely can't answer that. It's because I'm weak-willed or...
I think it's still part of the success of the marketing and the packaging of all of that food. That still preys on you. That's why it's all colourful and you know the amount of money they put into just the packaging.
Yeah.
There's noise that the packet of crisps makes when you open it. The smells, everything, the amount of crunch you get in certain foods, the amount of softness you get in a brioche bun. All these things are made intentionally to make you just want to gorge on it and not stop. They're not designed to be eaten in moderation. They're designed for you to gorge yourself on them so that you go back and buy more.
Well, their design works, let me tell you.
Yeah, it does, yeah. It does.
Okay, let's go back to those scientists who left the tobacco industry.
Yep.
Do you remember when Marlboro, I always go to Marlboro because that was my brand of cigarettes and still is, even though I don't smoke.
Yep.
Right, so they were on James Hunt's racing car.
Yeah.
Right? He was my hero. Him and Barry Sheen.
Yeah.
Right? Barry Sheen used to smoke Lucky Strike. Okay?
Right.
And then always wore Lucky Strike jackets, all that. James Hunt used to drive that car. He was a bit of an English toff. Used to shag every lad in the planet and smoke Marlboro. Actually smoked the cigarettes he was driving the car for.
Yeah.
Right? Those were the days, were they not?
Well,
right. So then all of a sudden everyone realised, right, how carcinogenic cigarettes were.
Yeah.
Then government started taxing the shit out of them, which didn't stop anyone. But what they actually did was stop all cigarette advertising. Now, I don't know if you know, but every single one of the Marlboro men, do you remember them?
Yeah.
Guys on horseback smoking Marlboro because they were roughy, tufty cowboys. Every single one of them died from lung cancer.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Right? Which is horrendous. Right? But the tobacco company and the scientists behind making the tobacco palatable and making the packaging as wonderful as it was.
Yep.
Right? Also, you know, I don't know if you remember, right, and this is a bit horrendous subject, so bear with, right, on a packet of Marlboro, the apocryphal tale was that there was 3 Ks on it. Because Marlboro was a supporter of the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah. The Ku Klux Klan, even. Yeah. So if you put... And I remember...
the red bit is a K, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
was it? But those things, you can't tell me they didn't start that rumour. You can't tell me that... Because that's like, oh, my God, this thing. And that, oh, my God, we're smoking Ku Klux Klan things.
Is that like Monster, and you turn the Monster sign upside down, it's the sign of the devil as well? Do you know that one?
No.
Monster, the energy drink.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they were the devil.
Look it up online. There's a massive rant about it.
I just think if you're really clever, you can manipulate anything into that. Obviously, you know, exploitation of another race through white supremacy is a fucking awful thing.
No, but it's the story. Any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Exactly that. Then what they did, right? So they took away all the shiny, fun parts, right? Like Marlboro on racing cars. Yeah. Because smoking's cool, kids. No, it's not. Yeah. You can't do that anymore. Then they put on pictures of dying fetuses, black lungs and rotting teeth. Well, that didn't work because everyone went, oh, bollocks. Because it's not about the fact that people don't want this brand anymore. It's the fact they're all addicted to nicotine. Yeah. So whether you put on this will kill you. There was a beautiful brand of cigarettes called Death Cigarettes. Yeah. And they were black and they had a fucking skull and crossbones on them.
Yeah, you mentioned them on the skateboarding pod, didn't you?
Yeah. I used to love them. Right, it's going to kill me. Brilliant. Bring it on. Obviously, there's latent, mental illness involved in that, I'd imagine, somewhere. I'll confront that one day. But that marketing, that power, listen, this is going to kill you. This is death. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll pay extra for that. I even used to import them fucking cigarettes from America so I could still have them because I was a musician. And, of course, I was so rock and roll, I had death cigarettes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually suggests quite serious mental illness on my part in there, but there we are.
Well, I don't know. It suggests that the people marketing it know what they're doing, don't it?
Absolutely. Right, so then these scientists who were marketing that and also with the tobacco industry moved to food. Because what's next to smoking? Putting something else in your mouth.
Yeah.
Right, so the words mouth pleasure is not about fellatio or anything to do with that. It's about the fact that you put something in your mouth and you like it.
Yep.
So biscuits, crisps, all processed food, even ready meals.
Yeah.
Now, do you understand how much salt
I do, yeah.
is in a ready meal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how little protein.
Yeah, no protein whatsoever, high fat, high salt content. Yeah, loads of chemicals to keep it from the potato from going brown naturally on the top, because obviously potatoes aren't really made out of potato. You know, there's starches and stuff like that. So if we understand just a little bit more about what we're eating,
Yep.
the health ramifications is huge.
Yeah.
Now, if nothing else, with my Diet Coke stopping and my now ability to control my voracious appetite because it was fabricated by a chemical.
Yep.
Some would argue, you know, I used to put chemicals in my body to, you know, manipulate my thoughts or my mind or my processes.
Yep.
I'm doing the same thing with ultra-processed food.
Yeah.
We're getting so used to the fact that we are spoon-fed our media, spoon-fed our food, literally, by packaging shiny baubles and taking everything as truth.
Yeah, and it's all about convenience, isn't it? Look
Yeah.
at the Deliveroo, Just Eat, all that stuff.
All that stuff. And also, every supermarket now, right, does the delivery to the house because everyone's busy.
Yeah.
Is that another way of opening the door to the fact that, look, if you do this, it's easy, but all of this food is quick and easy. All of the advertising is geared to the fact that it's quick and it's easy, but it's healthy.
Yeah.
So how the fuck can you get away with lying to people like that? Because we've seen it with the cigarette industry. There was one whistleblower, and there's films about it, and Russell Crowe was part of that film, and somebody else famous was in it too.
Yeah.
But the point is, I'm saying, we swallow the same shit time and time again. Why do we?
Well, not all of us do.
No, very true. But en masse, right? En masse, I'll tell you why.
Because everyone wants an easy life, don't they? Everyone...
Exactly that. Everyone wants an easy life. Fundamentally, it's not about laziness, right? Really, because we are all now expected to put our nose to the grindstone until we're 70, work ourselves to the bone so the government can fuck up everything, right?
Yeah, but because of that pressure, we don't want to spend a lot of time cooking.
Exactly. We want to spend time playing with our kids, want to spend time just relaxing, because I don't know really what relaxing looks like other than sitting in front of the goggle box going, I wish my brain would shut up, right? And, you know, actually exercise takes care of that. I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm bollocks if I'm getting up out of that after doing a 12-hour day and running through. I will do eventually, because otherwise I'm going to seize up completely. But I think it's really important for people to see the reality of things.
Yeah.
But more and more people are closing their eyes
Yeah.
because the reality is horrendous.
Yeah.
How do we, I mean, you and I, we've built a charity because we came to the conclusion that there was no community. How do you and I change people's perceptions on that? Especially when one of us is guilty of ingesting.
I think the only way you change is to change yourself and lead by example. And if people go, I want a piece of that, then you go, how do you do it then? How do you not drink alcohol? How do you whatever? How do you stop eating biscuits? What did you do? And you tell people what you did. People have to find out themselves and have to not just trust what they see on the BBC or what they see on the telly, what they see on the adverts. You know.
Yeah. Adverts there used to be this big thing, right? That adverts couldn't lie to you. No, we've got a whole board of people who will pull you up if you're lying.
But
no.
a miles a day helps you work, rest and play, does it?
Yeah, I'm not convinced of that. Also, you're a real man if you ate Yorkies.
Yeah.
None of that women business. Right? I just find it, and the older I get, the more my eyes are opening. When you're young, you don't care about this shit. But there is, your daughter's generation, yeah, are caring about these things. But then saying that...
They are, but they're the ones that are keeping Deliveroo going, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah. So paying lip service to something is great, and everyone does that. Changing things can only be done by the individual.
Yeah.
And when enough individuals change that, then those individuals turn into groups, turn into communities, turn into people as a group who can change things permanently.
Yeah.
Because also, if all of a sudden, let's just say 100,000 people decided not to put up with it anymore and didn't eat any of the processed food, just ate fish, meat, you know, actual potatoes, actual vegetables, then all of a sudden there will be none of that left in the supermarkets.
No, exactly.
And the supermarkets would probably go bust with it, you know, quite quickly unless they adapted.
Yeah.
So then by the number of people changing their habits, that's how you change the way people shop.
Yeah.
Because then they would have to cater to the majority. But catering to the majority right now is quick, cheap and easy. That's what everyone wants.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to leverage people out of the quick and easy and cheap route when actually it is easier to throw in nuggets and chips into an air fryer now.
Yeah, but a bit like you with the cigarettes, right? The impact of that death by cigarettes is when you were, 25, whatever. In your head then, well, that's 30, 40 years away. Doesn't bother me now. And that's the same thing with ultra-processed food.
I
now.
was fucking immortal. You're absolutely right.
There is every chance that, you know, I've said to you I think it was on the previous pod, that my decision to eat what I eat and not eat what I don't eat is purely based on trying to give myself as much time on this earth in a state where I'm healthy and active as possible.
Yep.
And if the world carries on going like it is, I think that the life expectancy generally will go down. You know, there's a chance I could outlive people in my daughter's generation, for example, if I carry on doing what I do. And
let me ask you this question then. Long term, people like the government are making it harder and harder for us to retire.
Yep.
But people aren't going to live long enough to retire if this carries on. So surely, when are they going to realise that they're now cutting their nose off to spite their face?
Are they, though? Because they've got to spend less on people's pensions if they're all dead, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Not saying that I'm not getting my tinfoil hat on again, but does it matter, right? If they're contributing to the big pot of money by earning money while they're working and then spending less time taking it back once they've retired, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is if you look at it from the government. Do you...
So there's no incentive, is there, for the government to make people live longer? The world's overpopulated.
Yeah.
There'll be a drain on
Why the fuck didn't I see that? I just genuinely didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Look at you.
And that's where I'm coming at it from the other end, right? I what I consume is largely, right, I'm not perfect. I do eat stuff, right?
No.
But
stuff.
My approach is to keep myself active and healthy for as long as possible.
Yeah.
To not feel like shit when I wake up in the morning and everything hurts and creaks and not go to the doctors. I've been at doctors once in 10 years. And that was for a mole on the side of my head that by the time I saw the consultant, it had fallen off and everything was all right.
Okay.
But I don't, you know, my life is better and healthier from the choices I make from what I consume.
There is a burning desire in me to turn around and tell the doctor to shove his pills up his ass. But I've got a long way to go before I do that. And I think I need to make the decision to do it. Because I've done it before.
Yeah, you certainly could.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that the human body has got the ability to heal itself and just needs a little bit of a helping hand along the way.
Well, I mean, if you read up on anything to do with type 2 diabetes, all you've got to do is lose weight and eat healthier.
Yeah.
So you're not dealing with sugar that your body can't handle. That's all diabetes is.
Yeah.
It can't handle the amount of sugar you're putting into it because it doesn't make enough insulin.
Yeah, metabolic syndrome is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is, look that up. That's a good one.
Metabolic syndrome. Right, listen, we're coming towards the end, but I think we need to graze on the beautiful fact that all of this rests, like everything else negative in the world, on money.
Yeah.
Make as much food as you can, as appealing as you can. Doesn't matter about nutrition, doesn't matter about anything, with the biggest margin we can do. Right? Put that in the shops. Feed the idiots that.
Yep.
Who controls all of this? This is just big business.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's fine. We're not going down that hole. But again, money is evil if you let it be, right? Okay, we can all rest on that, all rich people, blah, blah. And it's like, that's not what this is about. This is about the business machine, creating as much money as possible for whoever.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, we need to create money, right? We need to make food. We need to do all of that. Wouldn't it be just better, instead of destroying the farmers of this country, which is what supermarkets have done, Tesco's being the ringleader, bringing down the cost of milk to such a low level that most of the dairy farms had to be bought out by a holding company that owns Tesco's?
Yeah.
That's a bit duplicitous.
Yeah, it makes me very, very sad.
When you look at all things bad, usually the root is money. So you look at narcotics, right? You look at the cartels. They make billions of pounds, right? Nobody calls them up on it because they don't know how to get hold of them. And if they do, there's a gunfight, right? And then even the cartels, the American way of doing things is to supply a cartel with enough guns to kill the other cartel that have got too big, and then it goes in a loop. Yeah. Obviously, I am not a member of the CIA, so therefore I'm speculating.
That sounds reasonable, though.
Food is the same. You've destroyed the way that we made food in this country, so you can take over. There's a film, and it's really famous, and I've forgotten the name of it, right? But people are eating Soylent Green.
It's called Soylent Green.
Oh, okay. So Soylent Green reconstituted human beings because it was cheap and nutritious, apparently. Don't try it at home, because that's all bad. But my point being is, when do we get to that? When they're already... Somebody in a group was talking about making steaks out of human cells.
Yeah.
I mean, just the thought of that is terrifying, and it can be done. I mean, they made whole sheep, for God's sake, out of cells, using DNA building, right? Having people's ears regenerated on the back of rats or mice. Yeah. Right? When does it get to the stage where everything we eat, is made on the back of a mouse?
I think it's not that far in the future.
That,
if we allow it to happen,
is terrifying.
Well, there's already a promotion for people to eat bugs and stop eating meat, and that's nothing to do with nutrition.
Bugs, you say? Now, I have to be careful. You're not allowed to use the term Oriental. So Asian people have been eating bugs for hundreds of years, so they tell you. Yeah. And they're farming bugs by lights at night, and they go into this crash mat and putting them into these water to get them done, and then they freeze dry them and that. Okay. You're telling me that's a good thing, are you?
No.
No, good. Right. So I'm not eating bugs, whether you grind them up or anything. Okay. Because I don't want that. But look at how ridiculous that sounds. That sounds ridiculous. Right, we're going to take bugs, locusts and crickets and all of that, and we're going to eat them. That's great. That's the way to go forward. Who the fuck are you kidding? But we're swallowing that because somebody has spun it the right way. Well, I'm not swallowing that, figuratively, almost probably, right? But, there are lots of people, and I've seen them on the telly, it must be true. Yeah. There are farms that have these massive light bars with a sheet across that the bugs hit, fall down into the water, and then they are then reconstituted. And you've seen Asian markets are selling dried out bugs. That in itself is terrifying. But then they spin it. Well, you eat cows, don't you?
Yeah, same thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Apart from no, it isn't, because I don't want to eat the leg off a locust because it's got no meat on it. No. Oh, it's terrifying. This whole subject, right, it's a bit of a buzzword thing, right? But what it is terrifying. The same way the fight against smoking and all of that, when the truth came out about how carcinogenic it is.
It's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Right. If you smoke a cigarette now, you know what the risks are. Right. It's very well publicised. The risks of eating ultra processed food.
Yeah.
Is not. People don't see it. People don't really realise the problem.
Because it's not sold to them. At no point is there a health warning on anything.
No.
So if you were living in a balanced world, you would say, okay, on that packaging, it shouldn't say, this is healthy for your kids.
And even all of the health, the populous health stuff of fat being bad, and it's just not true.
Everything you read on a front-facing level to do with nutrition and food is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Read the ones that you argue with. Read the facts about food that you think is rubbish. Challenge your own beliefs on what you understand, because then you become educated. And when you become educated about a subject, then you make your own decisions based on actual truth, not spoon-fed media. We've gone way over time. We are going to continue this, and we are going to talk to an expert in nutrition. We are also going to talk to somebody who is on the other side of the fence, who wants to tell us why this is so good that this processed food is coming in, as long as I can land him. If he sees this, he may decide not to come. That's his prerogative. 50 and Coping is back for season 5. Don't forget, there are lots of discussions, there are lots of previous podcasts that you can still watch on this channel. So look, all we're trying to do is show you ways to cope, show you ways that maybe give you a different way of thinking, but mostly don't ever take anything at face value unless it's sponsoring me on my big walk. That's in the doobly-doo. Please do that. See you next time.